Imagine the nightmare of waking up to a flooded basement, a broken-down car, and a surprise medical bill, all in the same week. And for many working adults worldwide, it's a reality they're not financially prepared to face. For example, a recent study revealed that 56% of Americans couldn't cover a $1,000 emergency without borrowing. This scary statistic brings us to a critical question. Should you invest your emergency fund in stocks to potentially grow it faster? Let's dive into this complex issue and explore why your emergency fund just might be better off in a less exciting but potentially safer place. And to understand this, we first need to grasp what an emergency fund really is and why it's so crucial to your financial well-being. Picture this. It's Saturday evening and your refrigerator suddenly stops humming. The silence is deafening, and your mind races to the week's groceries slowly warming inside. This is precisely the kind of situation where an emergency fund proves its worth. An emergency fund isn't just another savings account, it's your financial firefighter, ready to douse unexpected flames before they burn through your budget. It's designed to cover those unforeseen expenses that life throws your way: a car repair, a medical bill, or even a temporary loss of income. Financial experts typically recommend having 3 to 6 months of living expenses tucked away in your emergency fund. For some, this might mean $5,000. For others, it could be $20,000 or more. The amount varies based on your individual circumstances, including your job stability, health, and overall financial situation. But here's the key. Your emergency fund needs to be as reliable as gravity. It should be there, no questions asked, when you need it most. This is why many financial gurus recommend keeping it in a high-yield savings account. Sure, it's not the most thrilling place for your money, but it serves a crucial purpose in your overall financial health. Now you might be wondering, can't I make that money work harder for me? This brings us to the allure of the stock market and why it might seem like a viable option for your emergency fund. And it is tempting, isn't it? The potential for high returns can make your emergency fund look like it's just lounging around, not working hard enough. After all, why let that money sit in a savings account earning minimal interest when it could be growing in the stock market? The stock market has indeed provided impressive long-term returns. Historically, the S&P 500 has provided about a 10% annual return before inflation. That's significantly higher than what you'd get from a high-yield savings account, which might offer around 4 to 5% in interest as of mid-2024. But the catch is that the stock market is about as predictable as a game of chance in the short term. It's great for long-term wealth building, but it's not so hot when you need money right away. This unpredictability leads us to the many risks involved in tying your emergency fund to the stock market's sometimes roller coaster ride. Remember the financial crisis of 2008? The stock market took a nosedive, with the S&P 500 losing about 57% of its value over a year and a half. Or consider the market crash at the start of the COVID pandemic in 2020, when the market plummeted 34% in just over a month. Now, imagine needing your emergency fund right in the middle of such a crash. It's like needing an umbrella during a downpour, only to find it's been gnawed full of holes by rats. You're left exposed at the worst possible moment. The stock market's volatility is precisely why it's not ideal for short-term needs. Remember that your emergency fund isn't about growing wealth. It's about having a reliable safety net when you need it most. This brings us to another crucial factor to consider: liquidity. Let's consider a scenario. You've decided to invest your $10,000 emergency fund in stocks. 6 months later, your car's transmission gives out, and you need $3,000 for repairs. But here's the problem. The market's having a bad week, and your investments are down 15%. Your $10,000 is now worth $8,500. You're faced with an unpleasant choice: sell your stocks at a loss, or scramble to find the money elsewhere. And selling stocks isn't like withdrawing cash from an ATM. It takes time, and you might have to sell at a loss, permanently diminishing your emergency fund. If disaster happened to strike over a weekend or a holiday, the stock market will be closed, so you can forget about accessing those funds. This is where the concept of liquidity becomes crucial. Liquidity isn't just a high finance concept that only banks and hedge funds need to worry about. It simply refers to how quickly and easily you can access your money without losing value. Your emergency fund should be like water: fluid, accessible, and ready to extinguish financial fires at a moment's notice. A high-yield savings account offers this liquidity. You can typically transfer money from savings to checking instantly or within a day. There's no risk of losing principal, and you don't have to worry about market timing or selling at a loss. Now, this doesn't mean all your money should sit idle in a savings account. The key is balance. Your emergency fund should be easily accessible while your long-term savings, whether for retirement, a home purchase, or other future goals, can be invested more aggressively in stocks or other growth-oriented assets. This approach allows you to take advantage of the stock market's long-term growth potential without compromising your financial safety net. It's simply about having the right tool for the right job: stocks for long-term growth and a liquid savings account for short-term security. And when it comes to building that 3 or 6 month emergency fund, 6 simple steps is all it takes. Check out this video next for your roadmap to financial peace of mind.